Greetings. I am Mr. Archie. I'm the band teacher at Angie McGinnis, George F. Johnson, and Charles F. Johnson Elementary Schools in Union-Endicott. Greetings. If you are watching this video, you are probably a parent or a guardian of a child going into 5th grade in one of those schools and are interested in how to sign up your child for band. All right? And that's where we started, in 5th grade. So let's get to it. First, in the first week or week and a half, I will go around and in each of those schools, I will show all the children what each of those instruments that I teach sound like, what they look like, what they're called, and things to keep in mind with each of them. I will also hand out something with a picture so they can remember what those names are. And so I teach flute, clarinet, alto saxophone, trumpet, French horn, trombone, euphonium, which is what the students will want to take if they like tuba. It's kind of a small tuba. And percussion. Okay? So those are the instruments that I teach. And then I will hand out a form, kind of like this one. It may not say CFJ. Obviously, if it's a different school, it'll have a different top for your school. But other than that, most of the rest of this form will be there. It's 2 pages. Sometimes it'll be front and back, depending on how I copy it. And I'm going to go over this form with you so you know what I'm looking for and what I want filled out. All right? So, first, the child's full name. I very, very often get a student writing just one name or just a nickname, and that doesn't help me. I need their first name and their last name. And I do need both, because their last name may not be the same as your last name. That certainly happens. I need first and last names. I need it to be one child per form. So if there are brothers and sisters in the same class or something, they can't both fill out the one form. It gets really confusing for me. All right? So one form per child. So there should be one name, a first name, and a last name. All right? Classroom teacher. Sometimes they write the room number. I don't remember the room numbers for all the classroom teachers in all 3 schools. All right? Have them write their teacher's name. And it will be hilarious to see all the ones that spell those names wrong, because it happens a lot too. Then, guardian names. All right? That's parents or guardians, either one, because parents are guardians as well. But whoever's in charge of the child here, I need first and last names here, okay? If there's more than one person, write both their names, all right? And I would need first and last names because it's not always the same, okay? Then, phone numbers. Just write down all the pertinent phone numbers, okay? Usually it's just cell phones, but if there's like a different number that I got to be able to call at work, or if you have a home phone number and a different phone number for you, or each parent guardian has a different cell phone, whatever it is, put all the phone numbers there. Try to be as neat as possible. A lot of people's, 9s and 4s look the same and all sorts of things like that. And if you don't put the area code, I'll just assume it starts with 607, so that's okay. Then, guardian emails. All right? Also try to be as clear as you can handwriting-wise with this, okay? O's look like zeros. L's look like I's or sometimes, or ones. Really try and be careful and neat writing your email. This is very important. This is how you and I will communicate the majority of the time. I think you agree that getting phone calls all throughout the day and having to stop what you're doing and get focused on what the band teacher wants, right? All right. It's much, much easier if I send an email, if you can check your emails once in a while, just to make sure I'm not letting you know that there may be some issues or something like that. All right. I also email everybody a day in advance to let you know, hey, remind your child to bring the instrument to school the next day, okay? Because my schedule is very, very confusing. We have a 6-day schedule, but there's only 5 days in a week. And because of that, I am in a different school literally every day, and each Monday is not the same place. So emailing you will help you remind your children to bring the instruments on the correct day. So definitely be checking that, and definitely give me those guardian emails, any parent or guardian that wants that information. All right. Next, first, second, and third choices, the instrument that your child wants the most, and probably a couple other choices, okay? I really, really do try to give everybody the one they want the most, okay? On a rare occasion, I just don't have enough of that instrument to provide, and somebody has to get a second choice. If you own the instrument that is your child's first choice, let me know right there. Obviously, there's no issue. If you own the instrument, I'll teach your child how to play the instrument that you own. Okay? But otherwise, most people are renting from me the instrument, and they'll need to put first choice, second, and third choices in that order. Your child's favorite, I really try to give them that, and then there's other possibilities down there. Sometimes they'll have to get a second choice because they don't have enough instruments. Sometimes it's because there's too many of one particular instrument as opposed to some other instrument. For instance, if I have 6 people sign up for saxophone and only one person sign up for flute, the band's not going to sound very good because they're not going to hear that flute player over all those other saxophones, okay? So there's an example of what I mean when I say, I've got to balance out the band, okay? So it sounds good and fair to each child so they stand a chance to be heard in the band. So sometimes there's a second choice because of that. And only very rarely it goes down to the third choice, but, still having a few choices there. So, that's the first page. And the second page is some important information for you, okay? I'm just going to go over some of that information right now so you know what's going on. First, attendance in rehearsals is absolutely required. They totally have to show up to the rehearsals. I think this should be obvious. But it gets a little confusing. In a couple of the buildings, my rehearsals happen sometimes during recess time, okay? And students don't want to miss their recess time for a band rehearsal, but that's how it is. And if you sign up for band, they have to come to those rehearsals, even if it's during recess time. And you're going to get children who say they're fine with that and sign up for the band, and then later in the year, they start skipping the band rehearsal and going outside, and then pretending that they forgot, even though the classroom teacher said, hey, everybody in band line up and head towards the band room. They'll pretend they didn't know that they were supposed to be in the band room, even though all their friends in the same class are walking out with instruments and saying, hey, come on. They're going to pretend that they didn't know and say, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, and I went outside. And that's not okay, all right? Also, I get students later in the year who change their mind and decide they want to quit the band. And then their parents say, hey, no, you signed up for this. You're going to finish the year. I totally find that commendable. And children will sometimes skip the band rehearsal in hopes of getting kicked out because they're missing band rehearsals. All right? If that happens, I will email you, and we will need to have an email discussion to figure out what to do about that situation. All right? So rehearsals are required. The child has to come to them, with the obvious exceptions if you're absent from school, whatever, okay? Next, other things that can get you kicked out of the band besides skipping the band rehearsals, okay? Doing things that might damage my instruments, okay? If you're renting an instrument from me and the child is doing things to that instrument that I've told them not to do and that might break the instrument, or they're not taking good care of that instrument, these things are very, very expensive that we're lending you for free, okay? That's part of the deal. Like, if they're damaging that instrument, I can remove them from the group, okay? And then same thing, I will email you, or if it's to the point where I'm totally removing them and it's not just a discussion, I'll call you, okay? We will talk. But hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully your children are going to be great with my instruments and very careful. So yeah, other than that, like if they're purposely very distracting, then they'll get plenty of warnings about that. But if they're distracting in the rehearsals all the time, if they're supposed to have their instrument down and listening to Mr. Archie explain something and they just keep blasting on their instrument when they're not supposed to, once again, they'll get warnings. You and I will have some emails, but eventually that could get to the point where they're removed. Okay? So hopefully none of that happens. Next on here is concert dates. Okay? You're going to want to put those into your calendar. It's good form for the parents and guardians to come to the concerts. All right? You definitely need to make sure the child comes to the concerts. Okay? These performances are in the evening. All right? Usually in the main school. Sometimes if COVID's an issue or something, it could end up in a high school or something for more space. But usually it's in the school. And in certain evenings, there's going to be a spring concert, and there's before that is the winter concert. Okay, it's important your child comes and performs in these concerts. They're in the band. Okay, that's like being joining a baseball team and never going to any games. You got to go to the games, right? You got to do your part, and so part of being in band is you've got to perform. Okay, so. Mark those concert dates down. They'll be on your child's form. Obviously, they'll be different depending on the elementary school. All right. And get those dates down. It is a requirement. If for any reason it gets to that date and you are unable to get your child there, an email or a written note explaining why is usually good form. Just like the school needs to know when your child doesn't show up for school. You let them know, oh, my child's sick, or oh, we had a death in the family, something happened. You kind of let the office know. They're not going to be around, though, in evening concerts. So send me an email or a written note like the next day or two letting me know that your child couldn't make it, okay? And why. And that's just good form, so I have that down and I know why your child couldn't make it. All right, and next, a little explanation about practicing. What you need to know is that your child has to play the instrument every day. Okay, with obvious exceptions, you go to Florida on vacation, don't bring the instrument. Okay, if somebody's sick, if they have COVID and they're really, really not well, they shouldn't be playing their instrument. I understand those situations, but if they're claiming they're busy all the time and that their parents and guardians don't let them practice because grandpa is sleeping or there's a new baby or something like that, and there's never any practicing happening, that's not good, okay? Playing an instrument is a physical activity, and the only way to get good at any physical activity is to physically do it every day. Okay, that's just how it works. So, practicing has to happen. And these instruments make noise. You're going to have to be okay with your children making noise every day. And since they won't do well if they don't play every day, there's going to be times where they're not in the mood to play and they're not going to want to play. Just like a child sometimes is not in the mood to do homework, but they have to do the homework, right? They still got to get those math problems done or read that chapter or whatever, okay? Band's the same way. If they don't want to practice, that's too bad. You need to set aside time, and you will have to sometimes make them practice and tell them that they have to, okay? That is your job, okay? I can't do anything about that. I'm not going to call everybody's home every day and say, hey, is so-and-so practicing, okay? You need to make sure your children are practicing every single day. Otherwise, they'll fall behind. They won't be able to do the things on the instrument and have the skills needed to play the music that everyone's playing. And then everyone else will be having fun, and they'll be sitting there not happy because they can't do it, okay? And just like a child who doesn't want to do their math homework, they're not going to feel good about it later when they don't know how to do all the math problems everyone else can do and they're not doing well in school, okay? If they're going to do well, they've got to do the practice, okay? So 10 minutes at first every day, and eventually it'll be about a half an hour a day, okay? Then, guardian signature, all right? It does have to be the guardian. It can't be the brother or sister. Okay, it can't be the aunt or uncle unless that's who the guardian is. Okay, it's got to be the guardian. Okay, and I will check that. So please make sure that you sign that. Definitely don't. I have had children try to sign themselves up, write their name in crayon. It's very funny. So definitely put your name there. Okay. So have them get that in to school. So sign up form, full name, your name, phone numbers, signature, what instruments their favorite and second choices if I can't give them their first choice, and signature at the end. Make sure that you put down the concert dates because you won't have this anymore because it'll have been handed in. All right? So make sure you write those down on your calendar. All right? So then they bring it to school. They give it to me. I go through all of it and I figure out who's got to get second choices. Hey, literally everyone signed up for trombone. I don't have that many trombones. Okay, well, we got to get second choices, right? I figure all that out. And after that, I have another meeting with the kids and I give them a rental contract form that will also come home. All right? One of these per instrument always needs to be signed by a parent. All right? So this is an official contract for renting the instrument. The instruments are free to rent this year. All right. Since the pandemic, we've tried to make things a little easier money-wise for our families. And because of that, the instruments are free to rent. But you do have to promise that you're going to return it. All right. It says here, if I'm not satisfied with your child's progress, I can ask for it to be returned, okay? So it could be signed up for the full year, all right? And, but that doesn't mean, I can still say I want that instrument returned, and it's got to be returned, okay? There does have to be you signing it and a student signing it, okay? Both have to agree to return it, okay? That means that legally you've got to return it, okay? If, for instance, you need to move during the year, you need to return that instrument before you move, okay? I get a lot of students in a lot of situations where they'll move and they forget about that and it turns into a big ordeal, and that is not something you don't want to get stuck having to buy the school a replacement instrument because you lost it, okay? So get those instruments returned to me when I ask for them to be returned, or please use common sense and return them when you're going to move or something else might be happening. All right? And then they get this in. Once that's in, I'll be able to assign everybody's instruments, get all those instruments just right, and then we'll start having lessons once a week and 2 band rehearsals each week, so they can learn all this fun stuff. All right. So I'm hoping your child joins for band. It is a lot of fun. I truly believe in it. I truly believe that the best time for your child or anyone to learn a musical instrument is at your child's young age. I've read a lot about how it affects the brain, and I can tell you the things that happen by being in band and learning an instrument, or an orchestra and learning an instrument. These things do a lot for your children during this stage in their life, and it's really opens up their brain to be able to handle a whole lot of the more complexities that come in middle school and high school. And so it's very, very useful and important, and I think it's very, very good for them. And outside of that, it's fun. All right, so hopefully they sign up. Hopefully they answers all your questions. On the same page where you had the link to click to this, there should be an email address for me if you need to email any questions. And under that, there should also be some links for each specific instrument showing you what you need to expect with each of those instruments. So if you're trying to help your child decide, hey, what are they going to play? And they're like, oh, mom or dad, I don't like, grandpa, whatever, I don't know if I'm going to like flute more or trumpet more. Well, it gives you a chance to look up those videos yourself and have an idea of what to expect, and maybe you can kind of help them work out what they'd like to do. Okay? So hopefully that'll help you out. Hopefully everybody joins band. I want big, big bands in each of my schools. And I am hoping your child's going to be part of that. Thank you very much. Email me if you have any questions. And may the force be with you.